Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and guess what? There's so much stuff going on today that I'm just gonna start going. The Gary Gensler clips are so classic. Some of those guys just tore him up yesterday, and you gotta see them. But first, let's see this from Bloomberg. SEC once again delayed making a decision to approve a Bitcoin ETF, so we'll get that out of the way. And then Stuart Alderati got a little angry before the hearing and tweeted this out. Gary Gensler puts out what he's going to say in his opening monologue or whatever before the hearing. And so Stuart Alderati read it and he says, the SEC chair will go to Congress tomorrow and lie, stating that there is such a thing as crypto asset securities market and tokens themselves are investment contracts. Perhaps just one representative will read this line from the court's 7/13/23 decision in the Ripple case. XRP as a digital token is not in and of itself a contract, transactional, or scheme that embodies the Howey requirements of an investment contract. That's because Gary doesn't tell the truth, Stuart. Everybody's got to accept that. The truth isn't in him. Stephen Narioff commented on this. This is a Warren Davidson clip where he's talking to Gary Gensler, and he says, seems like there's confusion that agencies are still here to serve the people. They've evolved to protect government and institutions from the people. SEC protects financial incumbents. That other three-letter agency keeps citizens in line. That other agency protects all other agencies. Overhaul needed. Stephen Narioff is directly over the target. Listen to Warren Davidson.
Market, and by the way, introduces a major question.
By the way, as you listen to all of these congressmen, all that any of them have ever done to Gary Gensler is talk and write letters. As I sit here today, all they've ever done is talk and write letters. And that could change on a dime. But in fact, Patrick McHenry yesterday talked about letting subpoenas fly. But my question is, what's taking so long? How much does this guy have to flip you the bird, Patrick?
Doctrine. And you told Mr. Barr that you received tons of feedback on your proposed ESG disclosure rules, feedback that should make clear that the proposal for ESG disclosure is a major question. And it should make clear that you don't have the legal authority to do that. So I'd ask you to knock it off, cease and desist, and work with this body to pass a law if you want to regulate something. You know, frankly, your time as chairman has highlighted two problems, a Gary Gensler problem and a structural flaw in the SEC. And as I told you in April, I proposed a solution called the SEC Stabilization Act. You're making the case for this bill easier every day you are acting as the chairman. By doing rulemaking after rulemaking without any regard to the impact of these rules, or maybe that's the feature for you, I don't know. But it's having a massive impact on our markets.
I can tell you what it is, Warren. Here's what it is. The reason Gary is handpicked, the reason he was put at the CFTC and the reason he's put at the SEC, he's handpicked because he's a regulator sociopath. That's his job. These political people sent him to be a sociopath, to act like, oh, we're just doing everything. And all he is using that position as a regulator as a weapon to stall and to attack. But the problem is, Warren, nobody's attacking him back. The problem is, Warren, that he is on offense, or he's just sitting there and letting you guys write letters and talk to him. Okay? The second you go on real offense and start issuing subpoenas and doing real offensive moves, that's when you defeat these type of people.
Markets that truly are the envy of the world, and why would you disrupt them? With processes that are driving capital out of our markets? not because to avoid our laws, but to find some place where they can get clarity, where they can work with a regulator and get a decision and a path forward. So instead of selectively applied, you're not providing clarity with a rule that's evenly applied. You're intentionally shortening comment periods to limit feedback. And the courts have even called this arbitrary and capricious. You're pushing a woke political and social agenda, and I think abusing your role in the authority of the SEC as covered. So, I think fundamentally, the SEC Stabilization Act would remove the role of chairman. It would preserve the current commissioners, but it would add a sixth commissioner. So there would be no more than 3 from any one political party. And so that would provide a path that would make the SEC do what you're avoiding. Frankly, you're front-running Congress, you're front-running the courts, you're front-running even the own administration, and no one has held you to account for that. I mean, I wish the Biden administration...
Well, Warren...
You're fired. But the list of folks they need to do that for is long. Congress hopefully will with the SEC Stabilization Act. I yield.
Gentleman's time's expired.
All right. So I believe that this is 55 seconds. This might be part of that clip. Let me check it.
You're pushing a woke political...
Yeah, we won't play that. Now, enter Byron Donalds. This guy is freaking hardcore. You got to love Byron Donalds. This is my favorite congressman. I think this guy wouldn't be afraid to let some subpoenas fly.
Do you remember where we left off, you and I?
I do. You're a very good questioner, sir.
All right, well, let me refresh. Let's bring some things up. Where we left off was, did you facilitate the payment for the Steele dossier for the Hillary Clinton campaign back in 2016? Because you were the CFO. You acknowledged that. You also said, in response to my question, that this payment was not something that I was aware of, quote unquote. Those are your words. Interesting things have occurred since then. John Podesta actually testified to a committee of Congress, and John Podesta testified to a question about, was Gary, meaning you, was he day-to-day, hands-on, signing every check? And so John Podesta testifies, actually he was under a deposition with a committee here in Congress. He says, yes, I don't know if he signed the checks, but he was there every day, meaning you. So let's circle back. Were you aware of the fact that the Hillary Clinton campaign actually paid for the Steele dossier, which unleashed one of the worst issues of intelligence malfeasance that our nation has ever seen?
No, sir, I answered this 6 months ago, and this is the same answer today. No.
You weren't aware of what was going on?
He gets real nervous.
Mr. Ginsburg, I find that very interesting because, if I listen to some of the people and the staff that have left the SEC, you're very aware of everything that is going on. It's actually your MO. You're very hands-on. So you're going to tell the committee right now, you had no idea that the Hillary Clinton campaign, of which you were the CFO on, sent money to Perkins Coie for a dossier that was phony, that led to the spying.
You recognize that name? That's the same Perkins Coie that Lowell Ness of Eastgate, of Andreessen Horowitz. Oh, we're not allowed to say Andreessen Horowitz because you'll get canceled by Mario Nawfal if you're John Deaton. So, yes, that's the same Perkins Coie that Lowell Ness worked at. Those are the guys that met with the SEC and got the Ethereum free pass.
Of a presidential campaign in 2016. You were not aware of any of this?
Sir, as a chief financial officer in a political campaign, I was not aware of what a law firm was doing with some of the monies that they got.
Now, I find that interesting because in some of your other rhetoric about CFOs in the public sector, the private sector of our economy, you are very tough on CFOs. You've said on the record on many occasions that CFOs have a fiduciary responsibility to the organizations that they cover, that they should be aware of everything that is going on. So how is that a standard you hold CFOs in the private sector to, but you don't hold yourself to that same standard?
That's not a standard that the SEC holds CFOs to. It's about their financials and that the financials are put together in accordance with GAAP and that the numbers are accurate. And that they're
So did you accurately pay for the Steele dossier out of the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Sir, I learned about that way after President Trump was a president and Hillary Clinton was a private citizen.
All right, well, let's move on. We'll probably...
Yeah, he's not a political operative at all. John Deaton says the SEC is well, actually, this was in regard to the government shutdown. Gary Gensler said that just under 5,000 employees that work at the SEC, 92 to 93%, will be furloughed, and the agency will be down to a skeletal staff. The SEC is a 100% completely failed institution, hijacked by special interests, second only to Congress. The fact that, excuse me, the fact that we say in violation of the Securities Act of 1934 is in 2023, 90 years later, is absolutely absurd. And those of you out there that say Gary Gensler and others are just doing their job and applying existing law are part of the problem. If you know the law was created and enacted in 1934, long before the internet and before investors had real-time information available to them at their fingertips, yet you insist on applying the same disclosure concerns to the same degree necessary during the 40s, while at the same time ignoring actual fraud being perpetrated in public, you are in fact the problem. John laid it down. Now, let me see how much time I have. Maybe we'll pick up Tom Emmer on the next video. I'm going to start with Tom Emmer. There's so much of this that I got to get through, and I want you to see all of it because all of them are so good. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family. Let me show you something I forgot to pull up. I wanted to show you. Let me pull it up here. Not that. Not that. I thought I retweeted it. I know I retweeted it. I'm going to find it. Here we go. Come on. Wait a minute. It's up here. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. We're going to find it. It's right in here. It's coming. There we go. Right there. Look. Look, it's Crypto Darren, and he is headed to the proper party, and JetBlue is pushing gas into the air. Is this to sedate us? Looks like Crypto Darren is going to go to the proper party. I'll bet he's going to have fun. Wow. Awesome. Okay, they're having that proper party on Friday, it looks like. All right. See you in the next one.